It's great to see you again. You are always one of our favorite guests, and it's just, obviously you are known industry-wide as being an innovator in what you do on campus, specifically Stanford's campus. What are your eyes focus on this year as far as what you're doing, some of the challenges that you've been facing and addressing this year?
Well, I've gotten myself really involved with the people side of things. I think that's where I can provide. We've got
staffing is such a big challenge for all of us.
It is, and we've got some really good technical practitioners.
Yeah.
And really my message for today is to encourage folks that we can get more out of what we've got.
Yep.
We've got to think clever, and we've got to empower some folks. So really there's three examples that I want to give. That's been a kind of a light at the end of the tunnel for us. And one has to do with taking a deep dive into that IT-OT partnership. Really get to know what the IT services are that you're getting.
Right.
Because it's not just a single IT black box. There's a lot of people there. There's folks who are responsible for the fiber that go to the buildings. There's the people responsible for configuring the networks on the fiber. There's the people managing user access. There's people who manage the servers, the clusters, the racks. They all have different specialties, and they all support the operating platform slightly different. So unless you're familiar with them and they're familiar with you, you're not going to identify new synergies, new specializations where you can outsource and save some effort. So we've spent a lot of time with that, and we've got some real good wins there, finding more efficiencies. The second area...
Hold on, I want to stop you
go
there.
ahead.
So what is the trick to really understanding where the synergy points are?
Well, I guess you could do a really big study, or you could just get your hands dirty.
Yeah,
you know,
in conversations?
Experiment, do some projects.
I see.
Once you start to develop your network, ask them more questions. Well, who supports you? What keeps you up at night? Is there anything that we could be doing to make this easier? And they say, well, yeah, why do you need to do this for your lighting system, your door access? Wouldn't it be easier if we did this? Oh, I'd never thought. I don't know anything about that.
Right.
Let's talk about that. Who knows more on your team? Things like monitoring networks. There's people who do that full time.
Yeah.
And that was one of the first wins we found. They're 24/7.
Yeah.
Why don't we use them to monitor our building systems as well?
Smart.
So talk about a major labor savings there.
Right.
Especially if you're trying to do an after-hours support. That's a lot of resources.
And you trust them to be sensitive and analytical enough to really see where the pieces of information or resource are slipping through the cracks?
Yes, and again, usually 90% of anything is doing a screen.
Yeah.
If there's resources to do that screening, the right subject matter experts can come in later. You just don't need 5 or 6 subject matter experts all going around trying to deal with a crisis.
Terrific.
Let somebody screen it.
Yeah.
And you're going to get a 80% reduction in effort.
Right. What's your second example?
Second example is you've got to bring your entire facilities management team along for the Smart Campus ride. And we talk about that, we know that, but you've actually got to get some traction. And it's hard because part of it is you've got to redefine all your job descriptions in this new paradigm.
Yeah.
And so we did that with our controls group. We've got a new facilities automation center, and we really focus on what they need to do. It's highly software and IT based.
Right.
But you still need to understand building processes, that mechanical aspect. You still need to know how to actually tune controls. That's a whole theory topic itself. And then you've got to be conversant in IT so that you can work efficiently with your IT support partners.
I see.
And that's a lot of diverse skills. And so how do you get that? How do you develop it? But the first thing is you've got to define that role, what it is and what it is not.
Right.
And so we actually created some gaps between other organizations, and those gaps are gradually being filled by making other groups smarter. So for example, if we had some really complicated field instrumentation and control devices, actuators, valves that maybe a specialty group used to support, well, why can't our HVAC and plumbers and electricians support that?
Right.
Don't they deserve to be smart as well? Don't they deserve some training? Why do we have to try to do everything behind the scenes? Couldn't a building manager, maybe who has a role not much more than a concierge,
right?
Why can't they have a dashboard to see what's going on in these rooms and delegate, right? It takes a village to run what did it say? It takes a team to run a village?
Right, raise a child.
That sort of thing.
Run a building.
And that's a little scary as well because the traditional folks who support the buildings have to let go a little bit. We have to expose ourselves.
Right.
And it's a lot of work. But again, it's a people problem, not a technology problem. And we're making some progress there. And if everybody's on the boat together with something to do, if there's something in it for them, we're all rowing in the same direction then.
So it's really about understanding people and getting their buy-in, and empowering them with the same technology that we've been using at a higher level, allowing them to really partner with us to get their own hands dirty, make them part of the team.
Yes, and the other example, if you look at layers, and maybe I'm worried about network management here, and maybe at the high end, I just want to know if my building occupants are comfortable today, or if I have a screen that I can look at and say, ooh, temperatures are trending up, maybe I should go do something nice for this researcher, right? So completely different ends of the spectrum, but you're all using automation, you're all using smart tools. And we need to set priorities together, we need to come up with infrastructure plans that work for everybody.
Yeah.
So it is a challenge, but it is doable. And so the nice thing is we do find economies of scale, because somebody whose job is managing a network in a building, he likes to snoop around. He knows more about our building automation system than anybody. We didn't know that.
Right.
Do you say stop sniffing around our systems, or you say, it'd be really nice if you could do this for me on the weekends and overnight?
And have you found that that's what's been happening?
It does work, yeah. People like to participate in new smart things.
Yeah. Which is an incredible thing, because it's obvious, and yet it's not an insight that's common.
And this is born out of necessity. You don't have a choice. We have to get more productivity out of ourselves, and that's the whole point of having a smart campus, right?
Right.
So,
well, it reminds me of how people with smartwatches, as it turns out, love data. They love to know how much they slept. They love to know when they woke up. They love to know how much they walked, and it seems, when those data points become actionable, they get involved.
Yes.
And it does seem like that's a theme that's running through each of your examples.
You get involved, then you get new ideas.
Yeah.
That's when the magic actually starts. Is once people are involved, I can understand what Gerry does. Gerry understands what Gerry does. Have you thought of this?
Not bad, Gerry. That's right.
You thought about a green tie. You look good, but and that's where the fun starts.
Terrific.
You build the teams. And then the last thing that I want to encourage folks is get with your HR department. It probably took 2 years of hard trying on my part and HR to come together so we really understood each other.
Yeah.
And just like once IT learned what a building automation system is all about, they were really enthused.
Yeah.
Once HR really understands this new set of skills that their resources need to have, and it started to click, it started to fire, and they started having great ideas.
Really?
And don't discount them. Well, they're just human resources specialists. What do they know about operating a smart building? They know a lot.
Really?
They know how to develop talent. They know how to get talent. They know how to retain talent. They say, do you know this other department over here has similar needs? Have you thought about partnering with them? You could do a job share. You could do a rotation. You could collaborate on recruitment. And that's been a big win recently. They have connections in junior colleges. Go talk to this program. They have a building automation program. Maybe you work with one of their students to be a trainee and get to know your HR. Let them know your system. Because just like anything else, they're busy. And maybe you get the sense they don't want to talk to you. But once you tell them how important this is to the organization, suddenly they're coming to knock on your door.
Yeah.
And say, Gerry, what do you have an idea about this? We're going to an event to talk to some recruiters. And that's been a big win. And I would encourage folks to not overlook that part of your organization. They can help too.
So really taking the people, it's no longer a people problem, it's a people solution. And that seems to be the theme of what the insight that you're bringing to us this year.
This is the problem. Let's use some innovation and turn it around.
Fantastic. Gerry, as always, a pleasure. And thank you for sharing your insights with us.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic.